Meanwhile, all eyes on President Biden this morning on day 2 of the NATO summit in Washington, D.C. 32 member countries in attendance as Biden faces doubts from his own party here at home. White House Press Secretary Jean-Pierre touting it as a successful summit so far. Watch. Thank you.
To see what the president has been able to do in the last 3.5 years. They know that they are dealing with a president who has been effective and has been able to get things done. It's not going to just be NATO allies here. I believe there's going to be 38 heads of states that will be here. And so we want to continue to strengthen those relationships.
Politico is reporting that the world was not ready for Trump in 2016, and it's not making that mistake this time. Politico writes, America's NATO allies are ramping up weapons production, consulting Donald Trump's advisors, and holding secret meetings with each other to feverishly lay the groundwork for Trump's return. Joining me now is former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Kurt Volker. Kurt, good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. Do you agree with all of that in terms of NATO and America's allies, and how would you characterize Biden's performance at this summit?
Right. Thanks so much, Maria. Great to be with you. And yes, indeed. I've met with a lot of the European allies that are here in town this week already, and they are all asking questions and thinking through what would a continuation of a Biden presidency mean, both good and bad, and what would a Trump presidency mean if that happens. And they are, in fact, thinking through how do we take responsibility ourselves? How do we show that we are taking the initiative? How do we do our own homework so that we're prepared no matter what happens in the United States? It's actually very encouraging to see.
So what do you think is getting accomplished at this meeting, and how would you expect NATO countries to prepare for a potential second Trump term?
Right. Well, this meeting itself has had a very low bar set several months ago. It's going to select the new Secretary General. We know who that's going to be, Mark Rutte, the former Prime Minister of the Netherlands. We are going to see a couple modest steps of organizing long-term support for Ukraine. Nothing decisive about winning the war, nothing about increasing direct support for Ukraine, nothing about Ukrainian NATO membership. So the rest of it is kind of pro forma here. Yesterday, President Biden spoke at the Mellon Auditorium, had a prepared speech, did a reasonable job delivering it. It was interesting because everyone in the room was watching to see whether he could pull that off, and he did. So that much is done. Today, there'll be closed-door meetings. Tomorrow, President Biden will have a press conference. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, NATO members are promising lasting support for Ukraine, meanwhile, in their fight against the Kremlin, but stopping short of advancing the country's path to NATO membership. Biden condemned Putin, announced more funding and weapons shipments yesterday. Here's the president. Watch.
Putin wants nothing less than Ukraine's total subjugation, to end Ukraine's democracy. And we know Putin won't stop at Ukraine. But make no mistake, Ukraine can and will stop Putin. I'm announcing an historic donation of air defense equipment for Ukraine. The United States, Germany, the Netherlands, Romania, and Italy will provide Ukraine with the equipment for 5 additional strategic air defense systems. And in the coming months, the United States and our partners intend to provide Ukraine with dozens of additional tactical air defense systems.
Kurt, what about that? I know you wrote a piece called NATO at 75, whistling past the graveyard, arguing that compounding uncertainty about the war is uncertainty about the future of U.S. leadership. Each of the 31 NATO heads of state and governments arrived in Washington this week. They want to know the following about its 32nd and leading member. Is President Joe Biden fit to run for re-election as president, and will he? Tell us more about your piece.
Right. Thanks so much. Well, the piece was basically to say that the summit is preset, and now we have the real world intruding in, and we have 2 big shadows cast over the summit. One of them is this question about the fitness of the president. Is he going to continue to lead for the next 6 months before we even get to an election? We have a real world out there of threats, and is he capable of that? And then secondly, are the Democrats going to replace him? Is there going to be a new candidate, or is it going to be Donald Trump who wins? These are all the things that are on their mind in that respect. But that clip you just played is terrific because it really highlights the other issue. You had great rhetoric from the president explaining quite correctly that Vladimir Putin intends to wipe Ukraine off the map. And our solution is to give them 5 Patriot missile batteries. That is not up to the task. And what NATO needs to do, what the world needs to see, is a plan for how Ukraine wins. Defining the problem and then not doing enough is what we have done for the last 2 years, and we've got to do better.
All right, we will leave it there. Ambassador, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining me. Kurt Volker this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Quick break, and then the price.